Hello friends, my name is Dilip. I hope you are all doing good. By end of this video, you will be learning how to solve a problem of rule number 42 of input tax credit, how to solve a problem of input service distributor, and how to answer a question if the question is about rule number 43, that is apportionment of input tax credit in respect of capital goods. First we'll start discussion on rule number 42, then we'll do a problem on input service distributor section 20, and then at the end we'll see the problem with respect to rule number 43, that is apportionment of input tax credit in respect of capital goods. Now before I start my discussion on rule number 42 problem, let us understand what is this rule number 42 all about. Now we have studied that there is a section called as section 17 subsection 1 and section 17 subsection 2. Section 17 subsection 1 says if you are using any goods or services partly for the purpose of business and partly for other purpose, then I will give you input tax credit only of so much which is used for business purpose. The ITC will be restricted to you as so much of the input tax credit which is attributable to business purpose. Similarly, section 17 subsection 2 says if you have any goods or services or both which is used partly for the purpose of making taxable supplies including zero rated supplies and partly for the purpose of making exempted supplies, then the ITC shall be restricted to you as so much what is attributable to taxable purpose, as so much of what is attributable to taxable purpose. I'll just read it once for you. So where the goods or services are both are used partly for the business purpose and partly for purpose other than business, the ITC shall be restricted to so much of the input tax as is attributable to business purpose. Similarly, section 17 subsection 2 says what, sir? If the goods or services are both are used partly for affecting taxable supplies including zero rated supplies and partly for affecting exempt supplies, the ITC shall be restricted to so much of the input tax as is attributable to taxable supplies including zero rated supplies. Now attribution, see section 17 subsection 1, section 17 subsection 2. Section 17 as a whole is talking about apportionment of input tax credit and block credit. Now whatever is told by section 17.1 and section 17.2 is given in rules. How should I do this apportionment is told by rules. Rule number 42 talks about apportionment of input tax credit in respect of input and input services, in respect of input and input services, and rule number 43 talks about apportionment of input tax credit in respect of capital goods. In respect of capital goods, it is rule number 43. Now for your current examination, those who are writing your examination in the month of May 21, I believe that rule number 43 is an important rule because there was an amendment made in the previous attempt and they have not asked a question on this rule in the previous attempt. So I feel that this is a rule which you have to know for this examination. Now what is rule number 42 telling? Because we are going to solve the question on rule number 42 first, let us understand what this rule number 42 is telling in brief. So rule number 43 talks about manner of determination of input tax credit in respect of inputs or input services and reversal thereof. How will I determine the input tax credit in respect of input and input services and what is required to be reversed accordingly? So first they are telling take the total input tax credit. Take the total input tax credit, then out of the total input tax credit which is there, whatever is attributable exclusively for non-business purpose, you please subtract it. Then whatever is attributable exclusively for exempted supplies, please subtract it. Take the total input tax credit which you have, from that what is exclusively for non-business purpose, subtract, from that what is exclusively for exempted purpose, that also you subtract, and also subtract the ITC which is blocked under section 17 subsection 5. What is the input tax credit which is blocked under section 17.5? Subtract that also. Whatever is remaining is the ITC which can be taken by you, is the ITC which is attributable for taxable supplies as well as exempted supplies. So you will get ITC attributable to taxable as well as exempted supplies. From this ITC which you have got, please subtract what is exclusively for taxable supplies. What is exclusively for taxable supplies including zero rated supplies. Once you subtract this, the ITC, the remaining ITC which is there is called as common credit. It is called as common credit. Now, in this case, first three subtraction which you done, that is ITC exclusively for exempt supplies, ITC exclusively for non-business purpose, and ITC which is blocked under section 17 subsection 5. For these three items, no input tax credit can be taken. You cannot take, sir, not even 1 rupees, not even 1 rupees. You cannot take input tax credit with respect to those items. And the ITC in respect of which is used exclusively, the input or input services which is used exclusively for the purpose of taxable supplies, including zero rated supplies, you can take full input tax credit. You can take, in respect of these items, you can take full input tax credit. Now, okay sir, I found common credit. What should I do next? Now, whatever common credit you have, you should apportion this common credit to taxable supplies, you should apportion this common credit to exempted supplies, and you should apportion this common credit to non-business purpose. How is this distribution or apportionment done, sir? The distribution is ITC attributable to exempt supplies out of the common credit is, what is the ITC which is attributable to exempt supply out of whatever common credit which we have found over here? What is the ITC attributable to exempt supplies? That is equal to common credit. It is denoted by TE. TE is equal to common credit into E by F. Common credit into total exempt supplies divided by total supplies which is made during the tax period. Total exempt supplies divided by total supplies made during the tax periods. So this total supplies will include both exempted supplies and taxable supplies. So whatever common credit you have got into E by F. What is E, sir? Exempt supplies. F is what, sir? Total supplies. Now that will give the ITC which is apportioned to the common credit which is apportioned to exempt supplies. Now whatever common credit you have got, that common credit into 5%. Straight away one rate only, sir? Yes, straight away 5%. Whatever common credit you have got into 5% will give you the ITC of common credit attributable to non-business purpose. So straight away common credit into 5% you are required to do, so that you will get the ITC attributable to non-business purpose. Now whatever is left over from the common credit, once you apportion for exempted supplies, once you apportion for non-business purpose, whatever is left over, that common credit is eligible input tax credit. That is the ITC which is attributable to taxable supplies, including zero rated supplies. So this is what you are required to do. Now please note, this is required to be done separately for CGST, SGST, IGST, and also once you do this calculation for a tax period, every month you are required to do this calculation. Once you are doing it on monthly basis, at the year end, again do the calculation by taking the total exempt supplies, by taking the total input tax credit for the entire year, total exempted supply for the entire year, total supplies for the entire year, and find the proportionate and adjust the difference accordingly. Whatever difference is there, if the difference is positive, take the input tax credit. If the difference is negative, reverse the input tax credit. Anyways, we'll see the problem now. Rule number 42. Rule number 42, very important. Rule number 42. Please note this attempt, rule number 43 is something which I feel is a little important rule. Now what is this rule number 42 telling? This question. Apportionment of credit on input and input services. X Limited provides taxable as well as exempted services. Okay. The turnover of X Limited during the month of October 2020 is as under. So October 2020 turnover they have given. Value of exempted supplies is 5 lakhs. Value of taxable supplies is 40 lakhs. And value of zero rated supplies is 15 lakhs. Please note, for the purpose of GST, the zero rated supply are also treated on par with taxable supplies. Zero rated supply are also treated on par with taxable supplies. So what is the total supply made by this person? Sir, 60 lakhs, sir. So the total supply made is 60 lakhs. Total supply made is 60 lakhs. Then they have given the details of input tax during the month. Details of input tax credit for the month of October 2020. For the month of October 2020 has been given over here. So total input tax credit they have given. Then input tax on input services exclusively used for exempted supplies. If it is exclusively used for exempted supply, I cannot take input tax credit. Then tax on input and input services which is exclusively used for taxable supplies. Exclusively used for taxable supplies takes full input tax credit. Then tax on inputs which is not eligible under section 17.5, that is the ITC which is blocked under section 17.5 they have given. Now what are we required to do, sir? How should we answer this particular question? Now whenever a question, see please note, this question will be asked in examination for at least around 8 marks. So 6 to 8 marks is this question which they'll ask in the examination. Now sir, how should I answer if this question is asked in the examination? How should I answer it? First, always write the provision, because it is because the question says that this person X Limited is making taxable as well as exempted supplies, because X Limited is making what, sir? Taxable as well as exempted supply. Accordingly answer it. Please note, I am a little fast in discussing this thing, because I feel you just have to understand the concept, and practice of these questions you can do whenever is required. So I am a little fast, okay? Now what is this point telling over here, sir? This point is telling, first, because they are talking about both taxable as well as exempted supply, first thing which you should write here is the provisions with regard to section 17 subsection 2. This is compulsorily, you should write the provisions with regard to section 17 subsection 2. What you should tell, sir? You write this provision as per section 17 subsection 2 of CGST Act 2017, where a registered person is making both taxable as well as exempted supply, then the input tax credit in respect of input and input services are required to be apportioned. The input tax credit in respect of goods and services which is used by him for partly for affecting taxable supplies and partly for affecting exempted supply is restricted to so much of ITC as is attributable to taxable supplies, including zero rated supplies. So in short, you should write section 17 subsection 1 provision. So where a registered person, sir, if I write this much, is it sufficient, sir? Definitely sufficient. So where the goods or services are used partly for affecting taxable supplies, including zero rated supplies, and partly for exempted supplies, the ITC shall be restricted to so much of the input tax credit as it is attributable to taxable supplies, including zero rated supply. So this is the first thing which you have to write. Then after writing the provisions of section 17 subsection 2, next thing you should write is as per rule number 42, the apportionment of input and input services are done by applying the provisions of rule number 42. That is the heading which you will have to write. The apportionment of input and input services, the apportionment of ITC in respect of input and input services is done by applying the provisions of rule number 42 of CGST rules. Then point number 1. Point number 1 is what, sir? Computation of. So first thing you should do is write give the reference of the section and write the provision with regard to those sections. Then computation of common credit on input and input services. Please write complete words in examination. Don't use the word CC for common credit. Don't use the word I for input and IS for input services. As of now, I have used it so that I can solve it in a sooner manner. In examination, you should write it properly. Then particulars. Then we have CGST, SGST, IGST, and one place for writing your note number. Now, what are they given? First, you should write what, sir? Total input tax credit which is there. First, you should write what, sir? First, you should write always point number 1, total input tax credit. So, our total input tax. It is not input tax credit. It will be called as credit only if you are taking the credit. So, total input tax for the month is what, sir? The total input tax for the month. The total input tax for the month is, they have given above 48, 48 and 36. So, 48,000 and 36,000. So this is the total input tax. From this, subtract less. Point number 2 is telling what? So we'll follow the same procedure which we studied in rule number 42. What did we study? First, I will take total. first I'll take total, then what is exclusively for non-business purpose, then what is exclusively for exempted supplies, then what is blocked under 17.5. So I'll write the same format. So less input tax attributable to or exclusively attributable to non-business purpose. Now sir, in the present case they have not given that point. No, not a problem. If they have not given, just write a dash. Then less ITC or input tax exclusively attributable for exempted supplies, exclusively which is attributable for exempted supply. How much it is? Sir, 12,000 and 16,000. Sir, 12,000 is CGST, 12,000 is SGST and 16,000 is IGST. You are required to subtract it. So I am writing it within the brackets. Then less input tax blocked under section 17 subsection 5. What is the credit which is blocked? Sir, they are telling 2,400 CGST, everything is 2,400 only. So 2,400 CGST, 2,400 SGST and 2,400 IGST. Once you do this calculation, what are you going to get? Sir, once I do this calculation, whatever I am going to get is called as common credit, sir. So what answer I am going to get now is called as what? Not common credit. This amount which I am getting now after subtracting these things is input tax attributable to taxable as well as exempted supplies. Input tax attributable to taxable as well as exempted supplies. What is the amount, sir? 48,000 minus 12,000 minus 2,400. 33,600 CGST, 33,600 SGST, then 36,000 minus 16,000 minus 2,400, 17,600 IGST. This amount which you have got now, this amount is an amount which is attributable for taxable as well as exempted supplies. Now from this I am going to subtract input tax exclusively attributable to taxable supplies. What is the ITC which is exclusively attributable to taxable supplies? What is it? Sir, they have given over here 30,000 CGST, 30,000 SGST and 12,000 IGST. So similarly, I'll just write it. CGST is 30,000, SGST is 30,000 and IGST is 12,000. IGST is how much, sir? 12,000. Now the final amount which you are going to get now is called as what, sir? Common credit. Now whatever you are getting is called as what, sir? Common credit. What is the common credit? 3,600 CGST, 3,600 SGST and 4,600, okay, 5,600 IGST. So this is the common credit which you have got. Please note, whatever calculation which we are doing now, this is required to be done separately for CGST, SGST and IGST. Please do not combine everything and do your answer. Please do not combine everything. Now what are we supposed to find? We are supposed to find apportionment of common credit. Now what I will do in two different methods. First method I will do in a chart manner so that you can understand what is happening. So first I will specifically do for input tax or common credit of CGST is how much? 3,600. Now this is required to be apportioned between three different people. Please note, in examination, if you want, you can follow this method, or I'm going to write one more method over there. This is for your explanation purpose, so that you can understand what is happening. So whatever common credit is there of CGST, that I am going to apportion to three different people. To whom, sir? For exempted supplies, for non-business purpose, and for taxable supplies. Now what is the formula telling? Formula is telling TE. What is this TE, sir? Common credit attributable to exempted supply is equal to common credit into E divided by F. What is this common credit? Whatever amount we have found above, common credit, into what is this E by F, sir? E is nothing but the turnover of exempted supply. What is the turnover of exempted supply? Sir, the turnover of exempted supply is 5 lakh rupees. And what is F, sir? F is total turnover. What is the total turnover? 6 lakh rupees. 6 lakh rupees is the total turnover. 60 lakh rupees. So can I write it as 5 lakh rupees divided by 60 lakh rupees? Yes, sir, you are supposed to write that only. Now, what is the common credit attributable to exempted supplies? Sir, 3,600 into 5 divided by 60. Sir, it is 300 rupees, sir. So, out of the total common credit of CGST of 3,600, 300 rupees is attributable to exempted supply. Then, what is attributable to non-business purpose? Amount attributable to non-business purpose shall be equal to common credit into 5%. Straight away, common credit into 5%. So what is the common credit? Sir, 3,600 into 5%. What is it, sir? Oh, sir, 3,600 into 5%. How much is it? 180 rupees. 180 rupees is attributable to non-business purpose. Whatever common credit we have, 180 is attributable to non-business purpose. And sir, what is attributable to taxable purpose? It is the balance. It is the balance common credit, which is equal to, sir, 3,600 minus 300 minus 180. So which is equal to how much, sir? Sir, 3,600 minus 300 minus 180 is equal to 3,120 rupees. This is the common credit which is attributable to taxable supplies. So, sir, now tell me, sir, what is the total input tax credit which I can take for this month? What is the total input tax credit which I can take for this particular month, October 2020? So, total ITC for October 2020 is equal to ITC on input services exclusively used for taxable supplies plus common credit attributable to taxable supplies. So what is the ITC? So I am just doing for CGST. Just for your knowledge purpose. So what is the ITC of taxable supplies exclusively for taxable supplies? Is this 30,000 rupees is exclusively for taxable supplies. So this amount I can take fully, plus common credit of CGST is how much? 320 rupees. So this is the total ITC which you can take for the month of October. How much, sir? 33,120. Now luckily, because the amounts of CGST and SGST is same, the answer which you are going to get for CGST and SGST is same. Now this I have just done for your explanation purpose, so that you can understand the concept how the division is happening. Now you can follow this method in examination. Write it separately for CGST, SGST, IGST. If the amounts for CGST and SGST is same, you can tell common credit of CGST and SGST attributable to different people, and write separately for IGST. Or the second method which you can follow is, whatever common credit you have, extend the line further. Okay, whatever common credit you have, now point next point you can write attribution or apportionment of common credit. Please note there is a spelling mistake, but please ignore the spelling mistake. Apportionment of common credit. Now we have common credit. What is the common credit? Again same particulars, CGST, SGST and IGST. Common credit is how much, sir? 3,600 CGST, 3,600 SGST, 5,600 IGST. Now point number 1, apportionment of common credit to exempted supplies. How will you apportion, sir? You should write the formula. Common credit into E divided by F. Common credit into E divided by F. Now what is the amount? Now please note this working which is there, no, you should do it separately. Please compulsorily do this working. Write 3,600 into 5 lakhs divided by 60 lakhs. Write 3,600 into 5 lakhs divided by 60 lakhs. Write 5,600 into 5 lakhs divided by 60 lakhs. Sir, should I do this working, sir? Is it not deemed that this amount only I have to take? No, you should compulsory do this working because they give half marks for this working. So 3,600 into 5 divided by 60. How much, sir? 300 rupees of CGST, 300 rupees of SGST and 5600 into 5 divided by 60. 466.67 of IGST. 466.67 of IGST. So this is common credit attributable to exempted supply. Then point number 2, apportionment of common credit to non-business purpose, which is equal to common credit into 5%. What is the common credit, sir? 3,600 into 5%. How much is it? Sir, 180 rupees for CGST, 180 rupees for SGST, and lastly it is 5600 into 5%. How much, sir? 280 rupees. 280 rupees. So common credit I have apportioned to what, sir? Exempted supplies, and I have apportioned to what, sir? Non-business purpose. Now point number 3, apportionment of common credit to taxable supplies including zero rated supplies. To taxable supplies including zero rated supplies. To taxable supplies including zero rated supply. What is the amount? Balance. Balancing figure. What is this balancing figure, sir? 3,000, whatever is the amount left over now. Subtract 3,600 minus 300 minus 180. I will get around somewhere around 3,120 rupees. In case number 1, it is 3,120 rupees, 3,120 rupees, and 5600 minus 466.67 minus 280, which is 4853. 4853.33. So this is the ITC which is required to be apportioned. This is the common credit which is required to be apportioned to taxable supplies as well as exempted supplies and non-business purpose. Now in this month, what is the total ITC which I can take if they ask this question? Then it is whatever is highlighted by me. I will highlight in green color. So whatever is highlighted in green color is the common credit, it is the total input tax credit for the current month, which is 33,600, 30,000, 30,000 and 12,000 plus 3120 and 4853.33. So this is the ITC which can be taken by you. Sir, you have given a point for note, no sir? Yes. Now you write note number 1 for these 3 things. For ITC, which is exclusively for non-business purpose, exclusively for exempted person and blocked, write note number 1 and write there. In that note you should write, as per the provisions of rule number 42, the ITC in respect of the input tax in respect of the input and input services which is exclusively used for non-business purpose or which is exclusively used for exempted supply and which are blocked under section 17 subsection 5 is not eligible. Input tax credit cannot be taken. Then note number 2 for this capital goods. The ITC in respect of input and input, the input tax in respect of input and input services which is exclusively attributable for taxable supplies can be taken fully. So full input tax credit has been taken. Full input tax credit has been taken. Then also write a working note. For this you can write a working note. Working note in the sense of calculation. For the calculation purpose you can write a working note. You will get full 8 marks. You will get full 8 marks. So this is a question on what, sir? This is a question on rule number 42. This is a question on rule number 42. I hope this was the question. Yes, this is the question. Now sir, can I follow this format alone, sir? Yes, you can follow this format alone. See, in this format, no, your understanding is very simple. You can identify what is what. You can identify what is for. See, even the examiner, he will directly see this and give the marks because he is able to know what is exempted, what is non-business. In this thing, he will have to see it separately. Okay, apportionment is happening. Anyways, both the format are accepted by the institute. So question number 2. What is this question number 2, sir? Question number 2 is with regard to input service distributor. Question number 2 is with regard to what, sir? Oh, this is also input. Okay. Question number 2 is eligibility of input service distributor. Distribution of ITC by input service distributor. Now, what is this provision of input service distributor says? Section 20 says, whatever input tax credit is available with input service distributor if it is attributable to one single recipient, if it is attributable to a single or specific recipient, then please give the credit only to that recipient. Distribute that credit only to that recipient, only to that one single recipient. If it is attributable to more than one recipient, then distribute that credit proportionate basis, on proportionate basis to those recipients. To whom, sir? To those recipients to whom it is attributable. And if the ITC is attributable to all the recipients, then distribute the input tax credit on proportionate basis to all the recipients. Sir, how am I going to calculate this proportionate, sir? Proportionate is very simple. Find the credit to be distributed shall be equal to, take the total turnover of the recipient to whom you want to distribute, the total turnover of the recipient to whom you want to distribute, divided by total turnover of all the recipient during the relevant period. So total turnover of the recipient to whom you want to distribute divided by total turnover of all such recipient to whom you are distributing of the relevant period. And while calculating the turnover, don't include the taxes under GST, don't include excise duty, the state excise duty, central excise duty, central sales tax and value added tax, that is pre-GST taxes which were levied on goods and services. Don't include those taxes. Now, sir, what do you mean by this relevant period? Relevant period means turnover of preceding financial year. Sir, what if turnover of preceding financial year is not available? Then turnover of last quarter for which these details are available. Turnover of last quarter for which those details are available. Very simple topic, very simple, and the answering is also very simple actually. The question which is asked, normally it is asked for 4 to 5 marks. Very simple question. If they are asking a question on this point, it is a lottery for you. Now, there is this company. Which company? X Limited. It has its head office at Mumbai and it is registered as an input service distributor. It has 3 units. One is in Mumbai, one is in Jabalpur and one is in Delhi. So 3 different locations. It has 3 different units which are in operation in the current financial year. XYZ Limited furnishes the information for the month of July 2020. So this is the information which is given by the company for the month of July 2020. What is the information? CGST paid on services used only for Mumbai unit. So there is some services which they have taken, which the head office has taken. The head office has taken some services. Now these services which is taken by them, it is only for Mumbai unit. These services which has been taken by them, it is only for Mumbai unit. So it is 3 lakh rupees. So this is the tax amount. Then IGST, CGST and SGST. paid on the services used for all the units. So this 12 lakh rupees which you are seeing over here, this is the input tax. This is the input tax of CGST, SGST, IGST, which is attributable to all the different units, meaning all the 3 units. Which are the 3 units? Jabalpur, Mumbai and Delhi unit. Then they have given the turnover of 3 units. Turnover of all the 3 units is what, sir? 1 crore rupees. Jabalpur unit's turnover is 30 lakh rupees. Mumbai's turnover is 50 lakh rupees. Sir, they have not given Delhi's turnover. You should calculate. You should calculate. How will you calculate? We'll see. Now, first we will calculate computation of turnover of all the units. Turnover of all the units. Now, I am presenting in a chart manner, in a chart format, so that you can understand in better manner. Total turnover, which given here is it should be 1 crore. I think I have written as 10 crores. So it is 1 crore. The total turnover is how much, sir? 1 crore. 10000 tung ting. So 1 crore is the total turnover. Now this total turnover is apportioned between three peoples. Who are these 3 people? One is Jabalpur, another one is Mumbai, and next one is Delhi. Now Jabalpur details, they have only given, they say 30 lakh rupees. Mumbai details, they have only given, they say 50 lakh rupees. Delhi details, what is Delhi's turnovers? Balancing figure. What is balancing figure, sir? 20 lakh rupees is the turnover of Delhi unit. 20 lakh rupees is the turnover of Delhi unit. Now, distribution of ITC by input service distributor, Mumbai head office. Distribution of ITC by input service distributor, that is Mumbai's head office. How will I distribute? Again, particulars, then you have Mumbai unit, you have Jabalpur unit, and you have Delhi unit. You have Mumbai, Jabalpur and Delhi unit. Now, first point is what, sir? CGST paid, which is used only for, there are only 2 input tax credit details which have been given to us. In examination, they can give 3 or 4, etc. So first point they are telling, ITC, which is a CGST, is paid on input services which is used only for Mumbai units. So which is used only for Mumbai units. Therefore, this IGST, this CGST, sorry, CGST on input services used only for Mumbai, only for Mumbai unit. Tell me, will I distribute this credit to everyone? No, sir. Because it is only for Mumbai unit, I will give this credit only to Mumbai unit. How much is the credit? Sir, 3 lakh rupees. 3 lakh rupees is the CGST amount which is distributed to Mumbai unit. I am not going to distribute anything to Jabalpur or Delhi unit. Then second, they talk about IGST, CGST and SGST distributed on input services used for all the units. Used for all the units. This is required to be distributed by me to all the different units. So what is the total ITC? They say that total input tax credit is 12 lakh rupees. Now how will I distribute, sir? For Mumbai unit, it will be 12 lakh, which is the ITC portion. What is the turnover of Mumbai unit? Sir, turnover of Mumbai unit is 50 lakhs divided by what is the total turnover? Sir, total turnover is 100 lakhs. 1 crore is nothing but 100 lakhs. So sir, if I want to call it as 12 into 50 divided by 100, which is equal to 6 lakhs, which is equal to how much? 6 lakhs. Similarly, what is the amount which will be attributable to Jabalpur unit? Sir, amount attributable to Jabalpur will be 12 lakhs into, sir, Jabalpur's turnover is 30 lakhs divided by 100 lakhs. Sir, so amount which is attributable will be 12 into 30 divided by 100. 3,60,000 will be attributable to Jabalpur unit. 3,60,000 will be attributable to Jabalpur unit. 3,60,000. Similarly, what will be attributable to Mumbai unit? Sir, Mumbai unit, it is again 12 lakhs into 20 lakhs divided by 100 lakhs, which is 2,40,000. Which is how much, sir? 2,40,000. So this is how you should do the attribution. So if I ask you what is the total input tax credit, total ITC of respective units will be 9 lakhs is for Mumbai unit, 3,60,000 is for Jabalpur unit, and 2,40,000 is for Delhi unit. This 2,40,000 is for Delhi unit. Now, sir, if I write this thing, will I get full marks? Answer is no. They will give you only 3 marks. If it is a question for 5 marks, they are going to give you only 2 marks. Then what else should I write, sir? You should write the provisions with regard to section 20. What is the provision with regard to section telling? Section 20 is telling input service, the ITC which is available with the input service distributor can be distributed against an invoice. What invoice it is called as? Against a document called as input service distributor invoice or ISD invoice. Now, whatever credit, then point number 2, credit attributable to a single unit will be distributed only to that one unit. The credit attributable to more than one unit will be distributed to them proportionately based on their turnover of relevant period. And if the credit is attributable to all the different units, that will be distributed to all of them based on the proportionately based on the turnover of the relevant period, So if you write these points and write this answer, you will get full 5 marks. Now, with regard to rule number 43, now next the continuation of the video which you will be seeing will be with regard to rule number 43. Rule number 43 I had already discussed previously. I had uploaded that video. Now what I'll do, I'll just add that video also in this. Now please note there is an amendment made. So I will first discuss the amendment with regard to rule number 43. Then I will solve a problem with respect to rule number 43. Please note the problem which I am solving is very good problem, very important problem. So please solve accordingly. So continue and we'll meet in the next video. Then very important, very important amendment, rule 43. Rule 43 is what, sir? Oh sir, rule 43 is what? Rule 43 talks about apportionment of input tax credit with regard to capital goods. If you have in capital goods which is used for business purpose, which is used for other than business purpose, which is used for commonly for taxable and non-taxable purpose, how will I apportion that input tax credit? They are talking about section 17(1) and 17(2). 17(1) and 17(2) talks about what? If you have input tax credit which is used partly for taxable supplies and partly for exempt supplies, then take input tax credit proportionately. Then if you have input tax credit which is used for business purpose and non-business purpose, take input tax credit proportionately. That is what this particular rule is talking about. Okay, what is this rule telling? There are few beautiful changes which have made, which has made our life simpler. Okay, there were few clarifications which were supposed to be given. There was a lot of garbage which was dumped in this particular rule. They have removed all those garbage, but still there are few things which has to be rectified by them, which they have not rectified. Maybe in future when they find, yeah, this is also not useful, that time maybe they will remove it. There was seriously, I'm telling, there was a lot of misassumption about this particular rule. People never knew how to do calculation. Now it has become a little simpler. Now it has actually become a little simpler. Rule number 43. Okay, I hope the screen is properly visible. Okay, now it is visible. Subject to the provisions of, subject to what, sir? Subject to the provisions of section 16 subsection 3. What is section 16 subsection 3 telling? Section 16 subsection 3 says if you are taking depreciation on capital goods, if you are taking depreciation under Income Tax Act on a capital goods, you cannot take input tax credit on such capital goods. You cannot take input tax credit on such capital goods. Subject to the provision means if you have not taken depreciation on tax component, if you have not taken depreciation on tax component of a capital goods under Income Tax Act, then please follow this particular sub rule. What is this telling? The input tax credit in respect of a capital goods which is being partly used for the business purpose and partly used for other purpose, or which is used partly for effecting taxable supplies, which includes zero rated supply, and partly for effecting exempt supplies. So if you have any capital goods which is used partly for the purpose of business and partly for other purpose, which is used partly for the purpose of taxable supplies and partly for exempt supplies, then in those scenarios the ITC shall be attributable to business purpose or for taxable purpose in following manner. The amount of ITC which you can take, which is required to be given for business purpose or which is required to be attributable to business purpose or taxable purpose, should be determined in following manner. Understand each and every point carefully. Very beautiful rule, very confusing rule. Okay, one by one we'll see. Now, point number 1 says what? Clause A is telling, Rule 43 sub rule 1 clause A says input tax credit in respect of capital goods exclusively used for non-business purpose or exclusively used for effecting exempt supplies. If it is exclusively means what, sir? Exclusively means it is only used for non-business purpose or it is only used for exempt purpose. What is only used? If you have a capital goods which is only used for exempt purpose or which is only used for non-business purpose, then such input tax credit should be indicated by you in GSTR 3B or GSTR 2. GSTR 2 is not there, therefore GSTR 3B, and ITC shall not be taken. The ITC in respect of those invoices or those capital goods shall not be credited to electronic credit ledger. So, if you have an input tax credit, with regard to any capital goods, the details of which has not been if you have any input tax credit with respect to a capital goods which is used exclusively for exempt supplies or non-business purpose supplies, then no input tax credit can be taken. Sir, not even 1 rupee, sir, not even 1 rupee. Straight away, entire amount should be gone. Then, second clause says, Clause B, the ITC in respect of capital goods used for effecting supplies other than exempt supplies. If you have any capital goods with you which is used for making supplies other than exempt supplies, meaning what, sir? They are talking about taxable supplies, zero rated supplies, etc. They are talking about taxable supplies. In short, the ITC with regard to capital goods which is used exclusively for, I will call it as taxable supplies, shall be indicated in GSTR 2 or GSTR 3B, and the ITC shall be credited to electronic credit ledger. The ITC shall be credited to electronic credit ledger. You can take the input tax credit with regard to those invoices. So if it is exclusively for non-exempt purpose or taxable purpose or business purpose, then full ITC will be given. Full ITC can be taken. Sir, full amount today only I can take. Yes, full amount of ITC can be taken by you today only. Then, point number 3. Clause 3 says Clause 3 says the ITC of capital goods not covered above. The ITC of capital goods which is not covered above andre clause A or clause B, which is not exclusively for exempt supplies, which is not exclusively for taxable supplies, meaning it is used for both exempt purpose and taxable purpose. So if you have any input tax credit of a capital goods which is commonly used for both taxable and exempt purpose, it shall be denoted by A. The ITC which is commonly used for both taxable and exempt purpose shall be denoted by A, being the amount of tax which is reflected on the invoice. Whatever ITC is there in the invoice shall be denoted by A, and it shall be credited to the electronic credit ledger. That ITC shall be credited to the electronic credit ledger, and the validity of the useful life of such capital goods shall be taken to be 5 years from the date of invoice. What is clause C telling? If you have any capital goods, which you are using for both taxable and exempt supplies, if you have any capital goods which is used for what, sir? Both taxable and exempt supply, take the input tax credit with regard to those invoices. Take the input tax credit with regard to those invoices. What input tax credit should I take? Whatever the tax is mentioned in the invoice, you take the input tax credit. And for those capital goods, the life shall be treated as 5 years. The useful life shall be extended up to 5 years. Sir, in my business, I have a practice of treating the life only to be 2 years. Okay, not a problem. But the life can be extended up to 5 years. Up to 5 years, or the useful life of such type of capital goods can be extended up to 5 years. In GST, normally a capital goods will have a life of 5 years. In your business, you may be using that capital goods from last 10 years. It does not matter. But in GST, after 5 years, it is of no use. Now, before reading any provisos, I will read the main main clauses. Before reading the provisos, provided further that, why, sir, you are doing like that? Because when you read the main clauses, you will understand the concept as a whole. Because once you start reading the proviso will tell something which you are not understanding only. What are you telling, sir? Proviso will tell, see, provisos are overriding the main laws. Whenever a proviso is given for a section or a rule, etc., that proviso will have power when compared to that clause. So better that powerful person we will ignore for time being, and we will see what is there. Other things, okay? First we understood, if it is exclusively for exempt, I can never take. If it is exclusively for taxable, I can take fully. If it is for both taxable and exempt, take it fully now. And the life of that asset shall be 5 years. Then clause D says the aggregate amount of A. What is A, sir? Common credit. The total common credits which you have, the different assets which you have bought, which are used commonly for different purpose, the aggregate amounts of A shall be, which is credited to electronic credit ledger under clause C in respect of common capital goods whose useful life is still remaining for the tax period, whose useful life is still there for this current tax period, shall be denoted by TC. Meaning, if you have any capital goods which you had purchased 2 years back, 2 years back, if you have purchased 5 years is the life, that means it is still there. I have purchased a capital goods today, that means it is still there, life is still there. I have purchased some capital goods 7 years back, life is not there. Why? Only 5 years life is given in GST. So what is this telling? You take the aggregate amount of A, you take A of all the different types of common, you take the common credit of all the different types of common capital goods, and the total of those common capital goods shall be denoted by TC. So what is TC? TC is A1 plus A2 plus A3, meaning if you have 3 capital goods which is commonly used for taxable and exempt supply, individually their credit will be called as A1, A2, A3. Collectively they will be called as TC. Collectively they will be called as TC. We will ignore the proviso for time being. Then what is it telling? The ITC attributable to a tax period on common capital goods during their useful life shall be denoted by TM. which is equal to TM divided by TC by 60. Why sir 60 sir? See 5 years is the life of an asset. So because you are filing the returns under GST monthly, credit also is required to be taken by you on monthly basis. Reversal also is required to be done by you on monthly basis. So let the useful life be, let the denominator over here is 60. How sir 60? 5 years into 12 months is equal to 60 months. So what is this point telling? For this particular month, you understood what is the total common credit. By taking all the different types of common capital goods, you found a credit. You understood the total common credit TC is equal to what? Now, for this month, what is the credit? For one particular month, not for this month, for one particular month, what is the common credit? What is the amount of common credit for one particular month? That shall be denoted by TM. TM is what? Common credit for 1 month is equal to TC divided by 60. 60 sir, because the life of capital asset is 60 or 5 years. Now there was this clause F which they have removed. There was this clause F which they have removed. Very good. Now they are telling clause G which is there existing. See, whatever is given in green has been amended. Then clause G says common credit attributed towards exempted supplies shall be denoted by TE. Whatever common credit which you are required to apportion for attribute to exempt supply shall be denoted by TE, and that shall be equal to what sir? T shall be equal to TM. TM. Why sir TR you have written? Because in the main rule they have not made the changes. See, F told about TR, but F is only gone now. When F is only gone, why TR will be there? So it is TM into E by F. What is TM sir? TM is the common credit for 1 month. Common credit for 1 month. What is E by E sir? Value of exempt supply or value exempt turnover of that month. Turnover in a state. What is E sir? Is the aggregate value of exempt supplies made during that tax period, during a particular tax period. And what is the F sir? It is the total turnover. See, exempt turnover is only exempt supplies. Total means all exempt, non-exempt, non-business supplies, etc. F is the total turnover in the state of the registered person during the tax period. Even the exempt supply should be taken in that particular state, whatever is the exempt supply. That will give us the apportionment. We'll see the provisions, etc. later. Then they are telling the amount of TE along with interest during the tax period for its useful life of concerned capital goods shall be added to output tax credit. You will have to reverse the input, that input tax credit with regard to the exempt supply which is attributable to exempt supply. How should I do the reversal? You do the reversal by adding it to the output tax liability. See, reversal is how you either reduce or you add it to payment. You either reduce from input or add it to the payment. So they are telling you add it to the payment. And then finally, the amount of T shall be computed separately. You should compute this T separately for CGST, SGST, IGST, etc. Now, by whatever we have read, see, I have given a beautiful example. We'll see this example, very important. So I am going very slow for this particular provision. Now, whatever main clauses we have studied, no, I'll just give a simple example to understand the main clauses. Once you have understood the main clauses, we'll go into some difficulty level. Once the stage 1 is cleared, next stage will go. And then finally, we'll find the queen. We are playing the game Mario. Okay, now there is a company called as Priya Provision Store. There is a company called as Priya's Provision Store. Now this Priya Provision Store is supplying both taxable as well as exempt. It is making both taxable as well as exempt supply. It is supplying taxable goods also. It is supplying exempt goods also. It is making both taxable and exempt supplies. Now, for simplicity, we'll take taxable supplies which Priya Provision Store is making is Maggi. So Priya Provision Store is supplying Maggi, which is a taxable supply, and Priya Provision Store is supplying X, which is an exempt supply, So there is this Priya Provision Store. What this Priya Provision Store has done is, it has purchased an capital goods which we are required to purchase. It has purchased a shelf. It has purchased a shelf where it is keeping all these Maggies. It has purchased a shelf where it is keeping all this Maggi. This shelf is used only exclusively for Maggi. Means what, sir? It is used exclusively for making taxable supplies. It is used exclusively for making taxable supplies. Now for the X, it has purchased egg tray plus a refrigerator. It has purchased a refrigerator where it is going to keep this X, and it has also purchased egg tray where it can keep all these different X, where it can keep all these different X. This is a capital goods. They are treating it as a capital goods. This capital goods is exclusively used for what, sir? X. That means it is exclusively used for what, sir? Exempt supplies. These are the capital goods which are used exclusively for exempt supplies. So I have capital goods 1. I'll call shelf as capital goods 1. I'll call this egg tray plus refrigerator as capital goods 2. And then apart from this, Priya Provision Store also has purchased a Tata Ace for delivering Maggi and X. For the purpose of delivering Maggi and X to different location, it has purchased a vehicle. Sir, can they take input tax credit, sir? Motor vehicle is ineligible. No, sir. See, sir, motor vehicle, if it is used for transportation of goods, you can take a full input tax credit. So therefore, yes, they can take input tax credit. Now this, I will call it as capital goods number 3. The capital goods number 3 is used commonly for both taxable as well as exempt supplies. They are used for both taxable as well as exempt supplies. Now, assuming capital goods number 1, the ITC, the tax component, the GST on that is 10,000. There is capital goods number 2, the GST on that is 15,000, and there is this capital goods number 3, the GST on that is 60,000. The GST on this common capital goods is 60,000. Okay, sir. Now, what is clause number 1 telling? So this is the question. What is clause number 1 telling? Clause 1 is telling if you are exclusively using for exempt supplies, then don't take input tax credit. If you are exclusively using for exempt supply, the egg shelf, first is not first is exclusively for taxable supplies. So this capital goods number 1, which is shelf for keeping Maggi tray, it is exclusively for what purpose, sir? Taxable purpose. If it is exclusively for taxable purpose, clause B is telling if you are exclusively using it for other than exempt supply that is taxable, that ITC can be taken by you. It can be credited to electronic credit ledger. So if it is exclusively for taxable, take full ITC. So I can take input tax credit worth rupees 10,000. If it is exclusively for exempt supply, sir, no ITC. Fully disallowed, no ITC at all. Therefore, ignore it. You cannot take input tax credit. Now, if it is commonly used, so this is the amount which you are going to put in your electronic credit ledger, the amount by which your electronic credit ledger is getting credited with. So 10,000 completely of this, and no input tax credit with regard to this exclusively for exempt supplies. And what is commonly used for both taxable and exempt supplies, for that, what is the clause number C telling? Clause C is telling if there is an ITC ITC on capital goods not covered above. ITC on what? Capital goods not covered above, that is common capital goods, being the amount which is indicated in the invoice, shall be credited to the electronic credit ledger. That ITC you take now. Whatever common capital goods you have purchased, whatever is the input tax credit with respect to that common capital goods, you take the full input tax credit now. You take the full input tax credit now and make its useful life to be 5 years. Make it useful life to be 5 years. So with regard to capital goods number 3, can I take input tax credit, sir, with regard to capital goods number 3? Yes, take full ITC. Yes, take full ITC. How much, sir? 60,000 rupees. So tell me, what is the total amount by which my electronic credit ledger will be credited with? What is the total amount of input tax with which can be taken by me for this month, which can be credited to my electronic credit ledger? Sir, it is 70,000. It is 70,000. Sir, what about clause D, F, E? Will come. Next is clause number D. What is clause D telling? The aggregate amount of A credited to electronic credit ledger under clause C in respect of common capital goods whose useful life is still there shall be denoted by TC. Now, in our case, we have only one common capital goods. If you had more than one common capital goods, add the credits of all those common capital goods. Add the credit of all those common capital goods. In the present case, because we have only one, so the credit of common capital goods is denoted by A. One common capital goods is denoted by A. In our case, we have only one common capital goods. Therefore, TC, which is total of all the common capital goods, will be equal to A in our case, because we have only one, will be equal to 60,000 rupees. Will be equal to 60,000 rupees. What is this? Total common credit or total ITC on common capital goods. Total ITC on the common capital goods. Okay, sir. After this, what should I do? After this, you go to point number E. What is point number E telling? Point E is telling ITC which is attributable to a tax period for 1 month. What is that ITC of common capital goods? What is the amount of ITC of common capital goods for 1 month? That shall be denoted by TM. What is the amount of ITC of common capital goods for 1 month? That shall be denoted by TM, and that shall be equal to TM is equal to TC, total common capital goods, divided by 60. So next I should find, see, this is for full life. Okay, this is for the entire useful life. Now I should find for 1 month how much is the common capital goods. So that is denoted by TM, which will be equal to TC divided by 60, which will be equal to 60,000 divided by 60, which is equal to 0 cancel, 6 ones are 6,000. So 1,000 rupees is the common credit or credit on common capital goods. That is the 1,000. That is 1,000 rupees in our case, in this example. Now, out of this 1,000, next is point number F is removed. So point number G, out of this 1,000, what is towards exempt supply? That you tell me. What is towards exempt supply? That you tell me. Now, assuming the total sales made by me, taxable sales made by me is 600 and exempt sales made by me is 400. I sold goods worth rupees 400 lakhs of exempt supplies and 600 lakhs rupees in lakhs. 600, 400 is very less. So rupees in lakhs. I sold goods worth rupees 600 lakhs of taxable and 400 lakhs of exempt. So what is my total supplies, total turnover? Total turnover is how much, sir? Total turnover will be equal to 1,000 lakhs. Total turnover is how much? 1,000 lakhs. Now point number F is not there. Straight away point number G. Sir, should I write point number E, F, G in your examination? No. I'm just writing so that you match this with clauses directly. You can match it with the clauses directly. So what is clause G sir, it will be TE, that is the amount of common credit attributable to exempt supply shall be equal to TM into E divided by F, which is equal to common credit for 1 month into E exempt supply of this month divided by total supply of this month. Exempt supply of this month divided by total supply of this month, which will be equal to 400 rupees. Which will be equal to what sir? 400 rupees. So this rupees 400 is the common credit attributable to exempt supply. It is attributable to exempt supply. Sir, what should I do with this common credit, sir? This common credit which is attributable to exempt supply, that you add it in your output tax liability. Whenever you are adding it in your output tax liability, add it along with interest. This is the basic overview of the main clauses of rule number 43 sub rule 1. This is the basic overview of main clauses of rule number 43 sub rule 1. So total amount which will be credited in my electronic credit ledger is 70,000, and the reversal which I am going to make in this month is 400. The reversal which I am going to make in this month is 400 rupees. 400. Sir, will this 400 be same for the next month also? See, we cannot say whether the amount will be same for next month also, because next month my exempt supply may be 500 lakhs, and my total supply may be 100 lakhs. My total supply may be say 1000 lakhs, and my exempt supply may be 500 lakhs. So in this case, I'll multiply what? 1000 into 500 divided by 1000, which is equal to 500 lakhs. So next month I may have to reverse only 500. Next month I may have to reverse only 500. So it depends on E by F which you get every month. So they'll still stay point E. The stage is simple. The rules are the procedure which you have to follow is same. But point number F, the amount which is attributable to exempt supply, which will change, it may change for every month. It may change. Sir, my question is, what if for this month I don't have the details of E by F, I don't have the details of exempt supply or total supply? Even in that case, should I reverse, sir? Yes, even in that case you should reverse. How will I calculate? In that case, take E by F of last month. If last month also not there, then last month. If last month is also not there, then last month. That is something you should keep on going back and doing it. Okay, so this is the basic overview. Now we'll read the provisos which are there. Next stage we'll go. Now I am not reading clause number 1 and clause number 2 because we already know it. Clause number 1 and clause number 2 talks about what, sir? Clause number 1 talks about exclusively for exempt supplies. Clause number 2 talks about exclusively for exclusively for taxable supplies. For easy understanding, I am just telling taxable and exempt supplies. I am not using the word exclusively used for non-business and exempt supplies. I am not telling the word exclusively used for other than exempt supplies. For easy understanding, I am using the word exclusively used for taxable and exclusively for exempt. Now clause C tells what? The ITC, the common credit, shall be denoted by A, and you take the full input tax credit now, and the life of that asset shall be 5 years. Next, provided that proviso, proviso, provided that where any capital goods earlier covered in clause A, where any capital goods was earlier exclusively used for exempt supplies, if it was exclusively used for exempt supplies, is subsequently covered under this clause. Now it is becoming what? Common. There was a capital goods which was used only for making exempt supply. Now it is used for making both exempt and taxable supplies. That is commonly used. Then the input tax credit with respect to such capital goods shall be denoted by A, and it shall be credited to the electronic credit ledger. Then whatever ITC is there with regard to that asset, whatever ITC is there with regard to that asset, you denote it by A and take the full input tax credit. Now, sir, oh sir, you are talking about the asset which was used exclusively for non-business exclusively for exempt purpose, correct? When you would have purchased the asset, assuming I purchased the asset 2 years back, and at the time when I purchased that asset, it was used only for the purpose of making exempt supply. It was used only for the purpose of making exempt supply. Now, when I purchased it 2 years back, did I take input tax credit? No, sir. Why did I take input tax credit? Sir, because you were not eligible at all, sir. Correct. Because I was not eligible to take input tax credit, I have not taken the input tax credit with regard to that particular invoice, that particular capital goods. Now, because it is used commonly for both the purpose, take the full input tax credit today. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Take the full input tax credit today. Yes, take the full input tax credit today. Then, subject to a condition, you can take the full input tax credit today. Sir, it is used for 2 years. No, sir. No depreciation for 2 years. Sir, wait, Sundara, wait, Sundari, wait, Sundara, wait, Sundari. For the 2 years, you take full input tax credit today. Not a problem. Take full input tax credit today. But for the 2 years, no, for the 2 years, you were not eligible to take credit. Why? Because it is used for exempt supply. That you reverse off. That you reverse off. How should I do? By adding it in your output tax supply. How? Who is telling this? Second proviso is telling this. Subject. Second point. The proviso is continuing. The proviso is telling subject to the condition that ineligible credit attributable to the period during which such capital goods were covered under clause A exclusively for exempt supplies shall be denoted by TIE, shall be denoted by TIE and shall be calculated at 5% for every quarter or part thereof and shall be added to output tax liability. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Sir, what and all you told, sir, we didn't understand any of those points, sir. Whatever you told, we didn't understand, sir. What is it telling? If there was an asset which was exclusively used for exempt supply, now it is commonly used for both exempt and taxable supply, take the full input tax credit now. Now for this period from here to here, when it was used when it was used only for exempt supply, input tax credit which is there now you are taking full for this period, the ITC which you had, which was attributable for this particular period, reverse it off. Why, sir? Because you are taking full input tax credit, now reverse it off. I'll repeat. I had purchased an input tax credit in year 1. In year 3, this input tax credit is now becoming common capital goods. At the time when I purchased, it was exclusively for exempt supplies. For this 2 years period, now what is this proviso telling? Take the full input tax credit today. Take what, sir? Take full input tax credit today. The asset was purchased 2 years back, I know, but take full input tax credit today and reverse the ITC for this 2 years. Reverse the ITC for this 2 years. How will I reverse the ITC for this 2 years? Reduce it by 5% per quarter or part thereof. Reduce the ITC, whatever ITC you have, reduce it by 5% every quarter. Even if it is a part of quarter, you should take it to be an entire quarter. Even if it is a part of quarter, treat it to be entire quarter. Then what is it telling? Provided further that the amount of TIE shall be computed separately for central CGST, SGST, IGST, etc. And explanation they have given: an item of capital goods declared in clause A on its receipt shall not attract the provisions of section 18 subsection 4 if it is subsequently covered under this clause. Section 18 subsection 4 talks about input tax credit in respect to asset, or whenever there is a say if you are supplying any goods, if there is a change, say if the goods were first exempt and now they are becoming taxable, then in such cases what will happen? I would have not taken input tax credit at the time of purchase of those goods. Now at the time when I am selling these goods, I have to pay the taxes, so I can take input tax credit proportionately. So what is this point telling? If you are following the above rule and taking proportionate input tax credit. Don't follow 18.3. See, I am giving you credit here also. You want credit there also. No. You either follow rule 43 or follow 18.4. For the capital goods, you either follow rule 43 or rule 8, section 18 subsection 4. Anyways, that is an explanation, simple explanation. Then for this clause D we had studied. Clause D, I'll read it again. The aggregate of the amount of A shall be credited to the electronic credit ledger and shall be denoted by TC. The total different capital goods, say capital goods 1, 2, 3, which is commonly used. There are 3 capital goods which is commonly used for taxable and exempt supplies. Add the total credit of those common goods, common capital goods, that shall be denoted by TC. That shall be denoted by TC. Now there is a proviso, beautiful proviso. Again, one more proviso. Provided that, provided what? Provided that where any capital goods earlier covered in clause B, earlier covered in clause B means it was exclusively for taxable supplies. If there is a capital goods which was exclusively used for taxable supplies, are subsequently covered under clause C. They are subsequently covered under clause C, meaning they are now used for commonly for taxable as well as exempt supplies. Then the ITC claimed in respect of such capital goods shall be added to arrive at the aggregate of TC. So whenever you are finding this TC, then you add that amount also, which was earlier covered under taxable supplies. You would have already taken input tax credit, but now it is commonly used. See sir, I had purchased an asset. Okay, I had purchased an asset which was exclusively for taxable purpose. Today it is used common for both taxable and exempt supply. When I purchased the asset, I would have taken full input tax credit. Yes sir, you would have taken full input tax credit. Now because it is commonly used, you will have to proportionately reverse whatever is attributable to exempt supply. Yes, so therefore please consider that asset for computation of TC. Please consider the input tax credit with regard to that asset for computation of TC. They are telling very simple point. We'll see. There is an example which is given, beautiful example. You will understand all the provisions beautifully. Then the common credit which is attributable for 1 month shall be denoted by TM, and it shall be equal to TC divided by 60. For removal of debt, it is clarified that the useful life of any capital goods shall be considered to be 5 years from the date of invoice. Whatever the invoice date is there, from that date 5 years will be the useful life. 5 years will be the useful life, and the said formula shall be applied or shall be applicable during the useful life of such capital goods. And then find TE, that is amount attributable to common exempt supply, which will be equal to TM. T is equal to TM into E divided by F. It will be equal to TM into E divided by F. What is E, what is F is given, and a provisos for this is given. They are telling while calculating this E by F, do not include the tax excise duty, do not include central excise duty, special excise duty, central sales tax or value added tax. Don't include the different types of taxes which was there pre-GST regime for calculating that E by F. Then next, the total TE which is there, which is the common capital goods which is attributable to exempt supply, that should be reversed. How sir? By adding it to the output tax liability along with interest, and this is required to be done separately for CGST, SGST and IGST. Now there is this one question. I'll erase this whatever I had written and we'll take up this question. Beautiful question, very beautiful question. At the same time, very simple question. You will understand the entire provisions properly once you solve this question. Once this question is done, what is this question telling? Priya Provision Store is engaged in supply of taxable as well as exempted goods. Below is the details of capital goods purchased by Priya Provision Store. These are the different capital goods which was purchased by Priya Provision Store. It purchased a capital goods. Okay, so details which are given is capital goods, input tax for that capital goods, what is the month of purchase of that capital goods, and what is the use of that capital goods. So P capital goods was purchased for input tax is 60,000. It was purchased in the month of October 2020. This month, sorry, today's date is 1st of November. So it was purchased in October 2020, and it is used exclusively for exempt supplies. Because it is used exclusively for exempt supply, tell me, can I take input tax credit? No ITC available. Okay, then I have purchased a capital asset called as Q. ITC with regard to that capital asset is input tax is 1,50,000. This was also purchased in the month of October, and this is exclusively used for taxable supplies. Because it is used exclusively for taxable supplies, tell me, can I take input tax credit? Yes sir, you can take full input tax credit. You can take full input tax credit. Then there is capital goods R. ITC is 90,000, purchased in the month of October. This is October 2020. This is commonly used for making both taxable and exempt supply. This is commonly used for making both taxable and exempt supply. Here what should I do? What should I do in this case? Sir, in this case, take full ITC, sir. Take full ITC now and proportionately reverse by finding T. Proportionately find what is the credit attributable to exempt supply and reverse the same. What is the credit attributable for exempt supply and reverse the same. Then there is capital goods S, which is ITC is 2,40,000, purchased in February 2020. Purchased in when? February 2018. Sorry, February 2018. It was exclusively used for exempt supply till September 2020, till last month, till September 2020. It was used for what? Exclusively for exempt supplies. It was used only for exempt supplies. Thereafter used for both exempt and taxable supplies. Now it is used commonly for both exempt and taxable supply. With regard to this asset, what will I do, sir? See sir, at the time when I purchased, it was for exempt supply. Because it was for exempt supply when I purchased it, I would have not taken input tax credit. I would have not taken input tax credit. Now it is used for both exempt and taxable supplies. What is the proviso telling? If there is an asset which is used exclusively for exempt supply, now it is becoming a common capital goods. Now it is becoming a common capital goods. Then take the full input tax credit. Take the full input tax credit now and reverse the ITC which is attributable for that period. Reverse the ITC which is attributable for that period for which it was used for exempt supplies. How will I reverse? By adding it to output tax liability. So what will I do in this case? Take full input tax credit, reverse for exempt period. I am writing the words exempt period, reverse. What does it mean, sir? Reverse ITC related to, in respect of exempt period. Reverse the ITC which for which this asset was used for exempt supply, exclusively for exempt supplies. Reverse the ITC. And lastly, I have a capital goods T. The ITC is 1,80,000, purchased in July 2018. Oh, July 2018, and it was exclusively used for taxable supplies. When I purchased it, it was exclusively used for taxable supplies till September 2020. Thereafter, it is used for taxable as well as exempt supply. Meaning now it is commonly used for both taxable and exempt supply. What is happening in this case? I purchased this asset. When I purchased this asset, it was used exclusively for taxable supplies. It was used only for taxable supplies. Now it is commonly used. Now when I purchased this asset, I would have taken full input tax credit. I would have taken full input tax credit at the time of purchase. Should I take the input tax credit now? No ITC now. No ITC should be taken by you now. But reversal for T is to be done. but you will have to reverse the input tax credit which is attributable to exempt supply from today. From today, you will have to reverse the input tax credit which is attributable for exempt supply. It was already used for 27 months, 33 months. It will be used for both exempts and taxable supplies. For the 33 months, reverse whatever is used for exempt supply. Now, the turnover of exempt supplies and taxable supplies is 200 lakhs and 400 lakhs respectively. So exempt supply is 200 lakhs, taxable supplies is 400 lakhs. Determine the amount of input tax credit to be reversed in the month of October 2020. Now they are asking only what is the input tax which you are required to reverse in the month of August 2020, but we'll do the entire problem. See, I have given the summary answer already to you. I have already given the summary answer over here. What is the summary answer? For the capital goods P, which was purchased this month, used exclusively for exempt supply, I cannot take any input tax credit. For capital goods Q, which is used exclusively for taxable supplies, I can take full input tax credit now only. For capital goods R, which is purchased in this month, which is used commonly for taxable as well as exempt supplies, I will take full input tax credit now. Take full input tax credit now and proportionately reverse whatever is attributable to exempt supplies. And for capital goods yes, which was purchased in February 2018, which was used when purchased, it was used exclusively for exempt, now it is used commonly. So what will I do? I will take full input tax credit now and reverse for that period for which it was used for exempt supplies. And last, capital goods T, which was purchased in 2018, used for taxable supplies only, now it is commonly used. When I would have purchased this, I would have taken full input tax credit. So should I take any input tax credit now? No sir. Now we will have to do only the reversal. So now I am solving this problem. Solve in the similar manner in examination, you will be able to get full marks, but you will have to write the notes. Okay, write the notes. Now, what are the different things which you have to do in this question? First, point number 1. Computation of input tax credit, input tax to be credited to electronic credit ledger. First, what are we doing? We are finding the input tax which is required to be credited to electronic credit ledger. What is the input tax which is required to be credited to electronic credit ledger? Particulars, note, rupees. See, you just take a printout of this question and straight away, okay, we'll see there are totally 4 capital goods P. Capital goods P. This capital goods P is what? Exclusively used for exempt supply. Because it is exclusively used for exempt supply, can I take input tax credit? No input tax available. No ITC is available to you. Why no ITC is available? Because of rule 43 sub rule 1 clause A. Therefore, in that rupees column dash. Capital goods Q. Capital goods Q, it is exclusively used for taxable supplies. Second capital goods is exclusively used for taxable supplies. So what will I do? I will take full input tax credit available. Why sir full input tax credit available? Write 43 clause 43 sub rule 1 clause B. If it is exclusively used for other than exempt supply, take full input tax credit now. So what is the input tax credit attributable to that asset? 1,50,000. So I'll take full input tax credit. Clause C, point number C, capital goods R I have purchased. I have purchased one more capital goods R. This is common capital goods. This is purchased in this month only and it is used commonly for both. For this, what will I do? I'll take full input tax credit now. See, I have written the notes over there only. I will take full input tax credit now and I will have to reverse whatever is attributable to exempt supply. That we will do separately. Note number 3, what will you write? That clause C, 43(1)(c). So I'll take full input tax credit now. What is the input tax credit with regard to R? 90,000 rupees, sir. Please take a printout of this amendment sheet and then solve the problem. You will enjoy it. Then capital goods number D, capital goods yes. This capital goods yes is what, sir? This was used exclusively for exempt. Now common. Now it is commonly used for taxable and exempt supply. What will I do? I will take full input tax credit now. I'll take full input tax credit now and then reverse for T. Similarly, I'll reverse for T. Who is telling this, sir? This is told by proviso to rule number 43 sub rule 1 clause C. So write note number 4. As per proviso to rule number 43 sub rule 1 clause C, I can take full input tax credit now. What is the amount of input tax? 2,40,000. 2,40,000. We are only seeing what is the amount which is required to be credited to electronic credit ledger. What is required to be reversed is the next step which we are going to do. Then capital goods number PQRST used exclusively for taxable supplies. Now for common purpose, what will I do? I will have to reverse it. Should I take input tax credit now? No. Should I take input tax credit now? No. I should use only for reversal purpose. So what is the total input tax credit credited to electronic credit ledger? What is the total ITC which is credited to electronic credit ledger? Sir, it is 1.590 plus 2.4, it is 4,80,000, sir. It is how much? 4,80,000. So what is this? Computation of input tax credit credited to electronic credit ledger. This is point number 1. Please write the notes also. Notes will only carry marks. So I'll just give 1 minute, not 1 minute, just you can take a screenshot or you can pause the video to copy this answer. Then working number 2. What is second working, sir? Computation of common credit to be apportioned. Please ignore my spelling mistake. To exempt supply. What is the common capital credit? Computation of common credit on capital goods which is required to be apportioned for exempt supplies. Again, particulars. There are 3 capital goods which are commonly used. Capital goods R, capital goods S, and capital goods T. These are the capital goods which are commonly used. Now, presentation is very important in examination, and also write a point for note. Here, point number 1. Input tax credit on common capital goods. What is the input tax credit on common capital goods? Sir, there are 3 capital goods which are used for common purpose: 90,000, 240 and 180. Correct. $90,000 for R, 2,40,000 for S, and 1,80,000 for T. Now these individually they are called as A, collectively they are called as TC. Individually they are called as A, collectively they are called as TC. Then now I will find what is the common credit of capital goods which is for one tax period. For 1 month, how much is it attributable to? So ITC attributable for a tax period. What is this, sir? This is TM. TM is how much? Sir, TM is equal to TC divided by 60. TM is equal to what, sir? TC divided by 60. So what you should do, sir? 90,000 divided by 60, 2,40,000 divided by 60, 1,80,000 divided by 60, 90,000 divided by 60,500, sir. For 1 month it is 1,500, 4,000 and 3,000, 4,000 and 3,000. Now this is for 1 month. Now what is for exempt supply? What is the common credit attributable for exempt supply for this month? ITC on common capital goods attributable for exempt supply for the month of October 2020 is, how will I calculate this, sir? This is nothing but TE is equal to TM into E by F, where what is TM? TM is 1,500, 4,000 and 3,000. E is how much? Where E is equal to 200 and F is equal to 600. How, sir? At the end we have given exempt supplies is 200, taxable supplies is 400, so total supply is 600. So what is this amount which is coming to? Sir, here I should do, sir, TE 1,500 divided by 200, exempt supply by total supply, 4,000 into exempt supply divided by total supply, 3,000 into exempt supply divided by total supply. What is the amount, sir? 500, 133, 3.33 and 1,000 and 1,000. This is the ITC which is required to be reversed by you. How will you reverse this ITC? By adding it to output tax liability. So what is the ITC which is attributable for exempt supply? ITC on common capital goods attributable to exempt supply. Sir, what is this CCG, sir? Common capital goods. Now last working which you have to do is, you remember one asset we had one asset which was exclusively for exempt supply. Now it is for both taxable and exempt supply. At the time of purchase of that asset, I would have not taken input tax credit. Now I am taking full input tax credit for the period from which it was used, for exempt supply. I should reverse the input tax credit. So calculation of input tax credit to be added to output tax liability, that is, I am calculating TIE, that is ITC on capital goods used exclusively for exempt supply. Now commonly used. Now it is commonly used for both taxable as well as exempt supply. What should I do, sir? Which is that asset? Capital goods. Yes, sir. What is the total input tax credit? 2,40,000. Now what have they told? You should reduce it by 5% per quarter and part thereof. When was that asset purchased? Sir, that asset was purchased in the month of February 2018 till September 2020, till September 2020, end of the September 2020, because our month is what? October. So till that date you should calculate the number of quarters. Sir, February 18 it was purchased, sir. So Feb to March 18, quarter number 1. April to June 18, one more. Then July to August, September, October to December. So this is in the year of 2018. How many quarters? 4 quarters. And full year of 2019, how many quarters? Again 4 quarters. And 2020 how much, sir? Sir, Jan to March, April to June, July to September, and now it is the month of October. So entire, okay, so July to September, and now it is October, so October to December, 4 quarters. So how much it is coming? 4 plus 4 plus 4, 12 quarters it is coming, 12 quarters. So how will I do? 2,40,000 into 12 quarter. Per quarter how much is it? 5%. Per quarter how much is it? 5%. Sir, why have you taken till end of October, sir? Why have you taken October month also, sir? Now they are telling in the month of October it was used for common purpose. When was it used? First day, last day, we don't know. So we are assuming that by at the end of the month it was converted for both taxable as well as common, because for the month of October we are going to file the return in the month of November. At the time when we are filing the return, that time only we'll make this adjustment. So we have taken this particular it to be 12 quarters. You can take it 11 quarters also, but you should write that assumption. If you are writing 12 quarters or 11 quarters, not a problem. Write an assumption. Write an assumption. Very simple. Write an assumption. So if you are taking 12 quarters, the amount which you should reverse comes to, which you should add it in your output tax liability is 1,44,000. 1,44,000. So total amount which you are required to add in your output tax liability is how much, sir? It is 144 plus 500 plus 1333 plus 1000 rupees plus 1000 rupees. So this completes this question. This completes this question. Very important question. Very important question. Please try to solve it by yourself once again. Now, there is one